crazy time. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course.
We have, as everyone has, all the kids home, so we're like trying to figure out how it's all going to play out. So, my goal with our conversation is twofold. I would love to just talk to you about your protocol and your approach. And then if you, I don't know, because this will be the first of these chats that we're going to do, just giving people the 411 about COVID. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows, stay 6 to 8 feet away from people and wash your hands and all of those things. But, just from your perspective, what is it that people need to know at this time? So I'd love to kind of lead in with your approach, because it's so powerful and it's so, it's doable.
Right.
It's something that people can really do to be vital and healthy. And then I think at the end, we can kind of lead in to 5 minutes on the COVID situation, because my goal really is to provide content for people. That's not Sanjay Gupta. He used to live in my dad's neighborhood in Atlanta, but he doesn't live in everyone's neighborhood. So it's people in Indian surrounding areas. I mean, I know you're super busy, but it's it would probably make people feel really good to know, I can access this person down the road. And so we really want to localize the content so that people feel safe. So anywhere from that basic health stuff, which I think is great, to mental health, because I think people are going to start really freaking out. And, when you're starting to feel isolated, what do you have to do? And obviously we don't have to go through all that, but just those are some of the thoughts. I really want us just to be a beacon of light for people.
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
We'll just make it conversational, and whatever, questions you need to ask and whatever I can provide, for sure. I've been doing lots of Facebook Lives and talking to people already, so.
Oh, that's so great. And then I can share that content too.
Yeah.
Because is that on is your page Vine, the Vine?
It's fully functional. It's Facebook /Vine Healthcare LLC, but if you search it, it's fully functional at Vine Healthcare or something.
Yep.
But the actual page.
I have it. Okay, perfect. Because we'll just make sure we tag you and all that. So you ready to rock and roll? I'll take about 20 minutes of your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I am so grateful to really connect with you. I know you're extremely busy helping a lot of people even before this pandemic has occurred. And what I find to be so fascinating about you, first of all, and if I can be as bold to call you a badass, because you are one of the most powerful women and powerful doctors I've ever met, and your stuff. It's so cool just to know you. So
yeah,
I feel I'm
the same about you, sister.
Well, thank you. I just feel I'm so thankful that I have you, as a resource. And so what I would love for us to share with everyone is really your approach, because you come from traditional medical practice, which has so many benefits, but then you've really launched into the functional side. And how is that, I guess, what is functional medicine? And then how has that changed the way that you do business, the way that you treat patients, and really how medicine can shift as a result?
Sure, absolutely. So I started my career as a board certified emergency medicine physician. So I was on the front lines. I think emergency medicine is where traditional medicine works. That's the acute care setting is where it really works. Where we get into trouble in medicine is when we're trying to look at addressing chronic disease or prevention of disease. And functional medicine really is about addressing underlying root issues and doing what we can to be aware of those and reduce the things that are negatively impacting our health. And so the approach that I have created through my education and now in my practice of seeing over 3,000 patients in functional medicine is a process that I call fully functional. And fully functional, the reason I came up with that name is because that's really what I wanted for my family, which is how this whole journey began, and now what I want for my patients, for people to be their most healthy, most productive, most joy-filled. And I believe there's 5 essential steps to getting there. And the beauty of this is that we can simplify this process for people. Physicians can understand this, patients can understand this. The 5 essential steps to becoming fully functional are: 1, identify those things that are negatively impacting your health. So in my practice now, we see a lot of the sickest of the sick people, and they come in and they've seen lots of people and they're not really sure. Nobody's been able to figure out what's wrong with them. So we typically do a deep dive into, trying to identify some of these things that are negatively impacting people's health. So those may be, they're typically a combination of things: food choices, lifestyle choices, stressors, toxins, infections. And so again, as an individual, before you even go to the doctor, start trying to do an inventory of looking at your life and saying, what are the things that I know are negatively impacting my health? We know that sugar and processed foods aren't good for us. So start there. That's what I tell people is, like, it doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to come and do a deep dive of, lots of lab work necessarily. Often we can just start with ourselves. And so identify the things are negatively impacting your health. You probably shouldn't be out there spraying Roundup right now. Start looking at the products you clean with in your home. So identifying those things. I would also put in that category stressors, right? So look at relationships that are unhealthy for you. Look at stressors on a day-to-day basis. And the second step of becoming fully functional is what we call reduce. So once you identified some things that are negatively impacting your health, what do you need to do to reduce those things in your life? So there's some practical things you can do. We help people get onto a fully functional anti-inflammatory diet. And sometimes it's easier said than done, right? We need some hand holding along the way, but also it's sometimes complicated to know what is the right diet, right? So we want to help guide people through that, but pulling out sugar, that's definitely one. I would say, lots of dairy, lots of grains. In our practice, we recommend people go off that completely, but certainly sugar, especially right now with the health crisis and everything that's going on, we know it has a negative impact on our immune system. So that's an easy one. Pull that stuff out and processed foods. The third part of becoming fully functional is what I call optimize. And it's about optimizing our natural detox processes. We were all born as detoxifiers. We pee, we poop, we sweat, we exhale, we sleep and dream. Our liver's constantly processing in a process called phase 1, phase 2 detoxification. And there's something called lymphatic drainage going on in the body. And most of us don't optimize those processes. We don't hydrate enough. And I'd suggest drinking half your body weight, at least, in fluid ounces of water per day. More if you exercise or live in warm weather where you sweat a lot. In regards to sweating, we want you to sweat. You got to move. You got to sweat, exercise. Nobody's saying run a marathon if you haven't done that before, but definitely try to work up the sweat on a regular basis several times a day. In terms of bowel movements, I know I was told all through medical school even that, it's normal for you not to go every day. Well, that's not normal. Can you hear me? Because it says my internet's unstable.
Yes.
Okay, good. It says we should be having regular bowel movements every day, at least one per day. And there are certain things you can do, like magnesium or buffered sea powder, that can help you without making you get addicted to it, if you will, for having to take something to move your bowels every day. In terms of breathing, I love deep breathing exercises for a variety of reasons, but optimizing detoxification, I recommend 4-7-8 breathing to my patients and friends and family members. 4-7-8 is breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7 seconds, and breathe out slowly over 8.
Oh, I love that. What does it do?
So it's super powerful. One, we want to open up our lungs and get good oxygenation to tissues. Yeah, so breathe in for a count of 4. Hold your breath for that 7 seconds, which is sometimes a little challenging. It feels a little like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make it. And then slowly breathe out over 8 seconds. And it actually is a really powerful way to reduce that stress response. Again, many of us are feeling a lot of stress right now with everything that's going on. And you can actually feel that stress response come down. It's really powerful. And, you know, from the optimizing detoxification, it's about oxygenating tissues. And when we talk about support, you know, the next step of that, again, it's supporting our immune response, our neurotransmitters, our stress response. So that's part of it. So the last on detoxification, I would say our liver requires specific nutrients. So I have all my patients on some basic nutrients to help your liver detox. One of those is glutathione, your body's most potent detoxifier. And if you can't take that, something called N-acetylcysteine, just some basic things. Don't overload your liver. It's okay occasionally to have a glass of wine perhaps, but not okay to drink a bottle a day every day. It overloads
Yes.
the liver.
And even if people don't drink a lot, just, you know, living on the planet and eating the food that we eat taxes the liver, correct?
100%. And again, you know, making sure you're eating whole foods, good foods that are rich in nutrients. I usually tell people half your day, half your dietary intake should be vegetables, all the colors of the rainbow, ideally in, you know, a mix between raw and cooked. And sleep, can't forget about sleep. We need about 8 hours of sleep a night, and a lot of us get way less than that. And so I typically recommend, if you struggle with sleep, that at least start with getting in a magnesium salt bath before you go to bed and try to relax a little bit. Put a little lavender oil in there and try to relax a little bit and see if that helps you settle yourself down to be able to get a full night's sleep. So that's optimize. And then the fourth pillar of becoming fully functional is what I call support. And it's about structural support, taking care of, are you there? Andrea, I lost you.
Keep it going. So we were talking about glutathione. We were talking about detoxing the liver. Let me shed some light on myself. Got the Indianapolis Colts in the background.
Love it.
Let's see.
Yeah, so I was talking about, you know, optimizing detoxification, and sleep is critically important here as well. And so we want to make sure we're getting at least 8 hours of sleep. And a lot of people struggle with that. And an easy thing to do, again, get some, you know, magnesium salts, Epsom salts, something, put them in a bath before you lay down to go to bed at night. Soak in there for 20 minutes, throw a little lavender essential oil. I like Young Living, and I throw it in the bath. And one, it's a great detoxifier, and it helps you relax to sleep, which is also important for detaxification, as well as supporting your immune system.
That one deep breath I took, like I could feel at the, you know, the top of that, like holding, and then the release, like it totally shifted my energy.
Exactly. And that's why I love it. I tell people, the only thing you can't do is eat and talk. Right? You can do that. So I have lots of, you know, people that are in professional meetings and, you know, sales meetings or something else. They're with, you know, in an appointment, and nobody needs to know you're doing it. You don't have to do an exaggerated big thing because no, I mean, you and I were doing it on here, but in general, you don't need to do that. Nobody would actually even know if you're doing it. You could do it when you're driving. You can do it in the bathroom. You can do it when the kids are getting off the bus and you're like, oh my goodness, you know, well, now they're not getting off the bus, but you can do it now when they're home with you.
Now you're really going to need to do it all the time.
Right. Like hide in the closet in the bathroom and go do some deeper 4-7-8 breathing. And I love, you know, 4-7-8 just helps you remember it too.
I love that.
Pillar, though, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I love that. I love that. How did you go from the ER to this perspective? Because it feels like quite a leap.
Well, it is. I knew nothing about functional medicine. You know, I think I've probably, lots of people know this story, but I'll be as brief as I can. So 2004, Super Bowl Sunday, my husband had a seizure and was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor, and I was pregnant with our 5th child. And he was given 2 to 5 years to live, and I stopped working because I expected him to be not, not survive. And let me close my email that I opened for a minute just so I can not hear dings in the background. There we go. And so, I wanted to be home with him because I didn't expect him to survive. And miraculously, my husband is here. It has nothing to do with functional medicine. It is truly a miracle of God that he's here. But we didn't know that right away. So I stayed home, and subsequently, all of a sudden, I have 5 kids, 5 and under, 4 of which are boys. And husband I thought was going to die. And as you can imagine, I was really stressed. It was a very stressful situation. All of a sudden, I didn't feel good and got really fatigued and joint pain and knew something was wrong. Ended up being diagnosed with lupus, which is an autoimmune condition. Saw a rheumatologist who told me to go on steroids and immunosuppressives. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. Not because I'm anti those things if you need them, but being an ER doc for so long and seeing all the catastrophes, I was like, I'm not that sick. I'll kind of ignore it. I've got a lot going on, which was not wise, to be honest. But it wasn't like I had another plan. It wasn't like I was planning, I'll go do all this functional medicine stuff and see what happens. I knew nothing of that. I was just really being ignorant at the time and just kind of ignoring my own health. And during that same time, 4 of my 5 kids started to have behavioral issues at school. My oldest, we were given lots of different diagnoses. We were told he was autistic and then ADHD. Then we were told he was psychotic and schizophrenic, which is crazy. He wasn't even 8 years old. You can't even make that diagnosis in anybody younger than 18.
Oh my Lord.
So,
you were stressed.
Right. So one with ADHD, we tried medication. He became suicidal. The other kids with learning disabilities. It was really within a 2.5-year period of time, the world felt like a totally crashed and burned. And that was what got me, I felt hopeless and overwhelmed and got on the computer and I started typing in alternative therapies and found functional medicine. And it resonated with me. As an ER doc, my job was to be a really good medical detective, to be honest. You come in wheeled in unconscious. My job is to figure out what was wrong with you. And so I'm passionate about that. I'm good at that, but I love this idea of like, okay, I'm going to be this medical detective for my family and figure out the underlying root issues. We can't just slap a bunch of medication. It's not like being in the ER where you're having a heart attack and that's appropriate. We've got to figure out why all of us are sick and what's going on. And so, I dove in, became the first class of practitioners certified by the Institute for Functional Medicine. And at least last year, Scott and I were 2 out of only 121 physicians in the country that are actually board certified in integrative medicine. I did that not because I plan to open a practice. I did that truly to help my family become what I call fully functional. And
oh my Lord.
Now I'm just, as you can tell, a little animated and passionate about it. And I love helping people. So it turned into a practice.
Crazy? Had not all that happened and had your world literally not crashed in on you from every angle, you would not be here and you would not be helping the thousands like you in Indiana and the surrounding areas, because I'm going to make up the fact that you have people coming to you from other states, because I'm pretty sure you do.
They do. Mm-hmm.
You are helping thousands of people as a result of your own health crisis. Right. It is one of those things where we don't know when it's happening, why it's happening.
Right.
And so like, even with this situation that we're facing right now on our planet, I believe that it is literally, I don't care what people actually believe, like who their Jesus is or not, but right. I do think it's a come to Jesus for all of us to stop, because I think we've reached a tipping point with everything that we are running to in this world. And it's like, we have to stop or we're going to self-destruct.
Absolutely. I mean, my faith is what's gotten me through. And while I would say we've had, that was just one example. I've had lots of examples where I feel like, as much as they were really hard to go through, I'm really thankful for them, because I relate in a different way. I have a different passion to help people really overcome and understand what's going on with them and make choices truly to help people become fully functional for life. And it was very rewarding and I loved being an ER doctor. I wouldn't change any of it. Even my husband being diagnosed with a brain tumor and kids and myself, that was sort of a snippet. That wasn't the whole picture of everything. Oh, just as an aside, I have no evidence of lupus. Just so you know, I saw a rheumatologist for 5 years. Right. My oldest, we were,
What did you
so
do?
what I figured out are those 5 steps, you know, and it wasn't pretty when I was first doing it. It wasn't like I had, oh, here are the 5 steps. I created that as I was going through it,
Wow.
but that's what successfully has helped thousands of patients and my family at this point. My oldest, who is definitely not psychotic, schizophrenic, ADHD or on the spectrum, is a junior at IU and doing fantastic. And
Awesome.
you know, my twins are doing great, and my husband hasn't had a seizure and no evidence of brain tumor in February 1st was 16 years. And again, while we didn't heal him, God healed him. I believe we've kept him his healthiest because of our process and what we do in the office here.
That is, like, seriously, it's so inspiring. I have the chills because it was so hard for you guys, and you were able to do it. And then as a result, it was like, that really has helped so many people. It's kind of insane. Like, you just don't know how you're going to be used on the planet to help people.
That's right. You don't. And, you know, again, like I said, I hard to go through it, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to get, because it's given me, you know, a desire to learn new things and a passion to really help people that are struggling and feeling hopeless and overwhelmed like I was.
That is wild. I'm thrilled for you because A, you're here, your husband's here, your family's thriving, and you're helping all these people.
Yeah.
So what about now? Like, what about what's happening now? What's your take on this virus? And maybe, you know, not specifically, I mean, just, you know, I'm coming from like nowhere, like all of us, like none of us actually know anything about it. And I think that that's where the fear and the running out to get toilet paper, like I've gone to, and I don't feel afraid, but I do feel like I'm going to the grocery to stock up because, you know, I'm like, I don't know, am I supposed to take a bunch of money out? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so I feel like we're kind of all at a loss other than like wash my hands and stay 6 feet away from people. Like, what's your take and what should we do?
Yeah, so I've been talking about this quite a bit, and I will tell you, you know what, I don't have all the answers either. None of us really know. I'll tell you what I do know and what I'm doing personally. And I think, again, I think it's normal to have some level of fear. What I tell people is don't panic. I'm not panicking. You know, again, as an ER doc, I've had, you know, in my life opportunities where I, you know, could have really panicked and I didn't. I've had life experiences where I could have really panicked and I didn't. And I'm in that same place, but I will tell you, you know, it's nerve-wracking for all of us. So mindset, this is a place where my faith really comes into play. I mean, mindset is huge, and the things you're telling yourself and what you believe and your ability to say, I'm not in control, but God is, or whatever that is for you is a huge piece of that. So right now, what I would tell people is the vast majority, what we can tell, the vast majority of people are going to be exposed and or infected with COVID-19, okay? However, the vast majority of people, as far as we know, will be fine and do okay. Those that appear to not do as well are the elderly, 70, 80 and above, okay? Mortality in that range is 20%-ish. Certainly those people with poor lifestyle habits who, you know, are smokers and not taking good care of themselves from a dietary perspective, really obese and eating foods that aren't great for them and maybe have associated health concerns like high blood pressure, diabetes, are having worse outcome. That being said, we just don't know. There's certainly people who are younger and healthier who are also struggling. It's much fewer, okay? So what I'm telling my patients and what I'm telling the people that I care about and love and know are, you know, do what you can to prevent. So here are the things that we know to prevent. We stay home, okay? I'm in my office, but my doors are actually locked. People are stopping by here only to get supplements, and that's why we're here, except to do a few IV therapies on non-sick patients that we had already scheduled. So I would recommend that you stay home and don't go out if you don't have to. That's how we're going to decrease. We're not, this is way past containment. We're not containing this, but we can slow down the spread and the overwhelm to the hospitals. So prevention is going to be key. When we talk about being 6 feet away. Like I said, I would really limit exposure, not just 6 to 8 feet away from people. Don't go out if you don't need to, other than to walk outside and get a little sunshine. That's great for you. But don't be in places where you have to even count how many feet you're away from people. That would be my recommendation. Washing hands. So I'm talking about washing hands, not like you normally go under the sink and wash your hands. 30 seconds is a long time, and that's what I'm recommending. But I'm also recommending you pretend you're on like a movie and you're a surgeon. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're sneezing into our arms, we're doing more things with this part of our body. And we know that COVID-19 can live, 4 to 12 hours, and in some cases up to 72 hours on certain surfaces, okay? So you scrub up and wash your arm all the way up to your elbow, both sides, and do that for 30 seconds. Get under your fingernails where things may not normally be, when you wash your hands, you're just doing that, and you rinse them and you're done. Try to get some soap up and under your fingernails.
Hot water?
I'm sorry?
With hot water?
Yeah, I mean, hot water, soap, definitely. It appears that higher temperatures it doesn't live under, but probably we don't want to be burning our skin, okay?
Right.
I would also say if you do need to go out, this is what I'm doing for myself. I'm kind of created a staging area. I would recommend you don't bring your shoes in to the home. So leave your shoes out in the garage or front door, wherever by whatever door you come in. I'm also going to undress. Now, I've had no real contact other than with my few staff members that came into the office today, and we're staying 6 to 8 feet away from each other because you just don't know. But I am going to undress in my garage. And have clean clothes out there for myself, and then bring my stuff right up to the laundry. We do know that it appears regular washing of clothing will kill the virus if it's on your clothing. So it's going to go in a bag right into my laundry room. So I would suggest if people do have to go out, that they have, the same sort of staging plan for themselves.
Brilliant. I had not heard that. I love this.
Yeah. So that's what I'm suggesting from a, preventative standpoint as well. There's some basic supplements and things that I'm telling my patients and family members and friends to do to help support good, healthy immune function. Most of your immune system's in your GI tract. Many of us don't have healthy GI tracts, and we think we do because we don't have a lot of GI symptoms necessarily. So get on some probiotics, eat fermented foods, eat some sauerkraut, some naturally fermented pickles, kimchi, if you like that, but take probiotics, higher dose. I like 100 billion colony forming units per day right now to help support that. I'm telling people to make sure they're doing vitamin D. You'd be surprised. I have landscapers that spend 16 hours outside in the sun. They come in vitamin D deficient. We want a vitamin D level between 60 and 80, and most people aren't getting blood tests. That's ideal because you can overshoot vitamin D levels too, but most people are deficient. In the best of times, most people need 2,000 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D per day right now.
Per day.
I would say 5,000 per day right now. And if you start to get a little sick, I bump that up to 10 to 20,000 IUs for a handful of days and then back it back down again just to boost that up.
Is there a brand that you like that I know you work with nutraceuticals? Is there a brand that you like that's easily accessible to people who are listening?
So we have our own stuff. I'm really particular about products. This is what I'll tell people. I'm concerned about products that are just on the shelf at like Costco and Walgreens and CVS. Everything that we have in the office, I have personally vetted out. So our Antoine Apothecary is open. People can, call the office or reach out to inventory@vinehealthcare.com. And we've got lots of stock in because I was prepared and got some things in. But if that's not something they want to do, there's lots of great products out there. I would tell you to try to find something that's independently third-party tested with GMP certification, NSF certification, some independent third-party tests, because what you don't want to buy is garbage. You don't want to buy something because it's not FDA regulated. Joe Schmo can slap a label on something, and there's lots of, people that are unsavory characters that are just scraping up dirt in the backyard, slapping a label on it and calling it whatever, and it could be contaminated, could be could be nothing, could be more than what you want. So look for those certifications. There's lots of good companies. It's not just that mine's the only one. I know mine. And so we do have product if people want to do that. And,
But call ahead. If they're in the Indianapolis area, call the Vine ahead just to make sure that someone's there.
And we ship all over the country, so we're able to ship to people as well. So if they want
my order before the end of this call.
Okay. It's flying off the shelves, but we do have quite a bit of immune support stuff in. I would tell you to start zinc if you're not doing it right now. 20 to 50 milligrams per day of zinc. People get worried about zinc lowering your copper level. In the short term, this isn't a problem. So I would, and certainly 20 to 30, even up to 50 milligrams a day probably won't do that. Omega-3 fats in the form of fish oil, we need that for good, healthy cell membranes. And so I would recommend you do that. And then I talked about glutathione, your body's most potent detoxifier. I have all of my patients on that right now. And if they can't tolerate that, something called N-acetylcysteine to help with that whole detox support. If people do start to notice symptoms and they're concerned that they're starting to get some, what you see with COVID-19 is a fever and respiratory symptoms, not as much nasal congestion, head congestion type stuff. If you start to notice or you're concerned or you were in contact with someone, I would recommend that you add in something called quercetin. I would up, vitamin A is also preventative. So I usually have people on 5,000 to 10,000 IUs of vitamin A. I would bump that up for a brief period of time with vitamin D if you start to feel sick or, were exposed to somebody. So those are like some basic things. Hydrate, sleep, all the things that I told you in our fully functional process. I forgot to mention support. That was the fourth pillar of becoming fully functional. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because it said unstable, but fully functional support piece. Yeah, good. We're stable now. But support is structural support. So we've got to take care of not just muscles, bones, but all the way cell membranes and mucous membranes. We need immune support, nutritional support, hormonal support. All those things have to be supported. And then I talk about personal support. And this is a challenge right now because I just told you we need to isolate ourselves. And I'm a people person. Like, it's hard for me. I'm so pleased that we get to see each other. I'm so pleased that we have technology where we can see each other because this is like, it's medicine to me, right? And one of the things that I am telling people is Zoom is free. You get 40 minutes to have a free consult with somebody. You can go sign up for Zoom and get all your buddies on there for 40 minutes for free and see each other. And that's probably the most powerful thing. I know that there's a ladies' Bible study that I'm coordinating because we can't meet together, and we're going to do it through Zoom so that we can see each other and support one another.
Yes, it is so important. We got on last night with my brothers and their kids, one set with, we did one with my mom and then one with my dad, and just the joy just to be in the chaos with your family across the country and know that they're cool is great. And so I believe in that power and reach out and connect because people want to be connected because we're all in this together.
Right. And it is scary to feel like you're alone. And, we've got a lot of patients that already feel isolated because of health concerns already, or they're immune compromised. So they've been isolating themselves, or they're parents of sick children with, autoimmune disorders like pandas that we don't need to go into, but they already feel isolated because they're so focused on their kids that, this is really going to be a hard time for people. And so every effort we can to help support those around us, we should look for ways to do this in a way without contact. Pick up the phone and call someone you haven't talked to in a while, send them an email, FaceTime somebody, do something to for yourself as well as your neighbor, your friend, your family member. Reach out and make sure people are okay. A lot of people, it's still winter and gray outside here too. So it's, that mixed with being socially isolated can be really depressing for people. So think outside yourself. Think about how you can support those around you, that fourth pillar. Think about how you can support the people in your own home. I've got 5 kids home right now, one that's 21 and 4 teenagers, and it's a lot. They don't understand, and then they're stressed on top of it. It's sort of this mix between you're being ridiculous, mom, and ooh, what if something happens to you, mom, or us. And so trying to interact with those that are in your own household is important too. I played some games with the kids last night, and I don't always have the time to do that, but that was fun, and we all laughed, so that was good. Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, we were cracking up. I was at Whole Foods laughing with the girl that worked there from 25 feet away about the fact that like there were no eggs on the shelf, and that was why I had been at the King Super or the Kroger, because out here that's what it is. And we were laughing. I was like, isn't it crazy? And then we just started cracking up, and I'm like, thank you. I mean, I know this is serious, but like we just need to remember to laugh and to connect. And that honestly, we are going to have some losses. We already have. And so we shine the light on those who have been sacrificed with this. But I also really, truly know that if we do what we're supposed to do and contain ourselves, that we're going to be okay. And I love the tips you gave about if you have to be out. I'm about to take these clothes off right now and get them off of me, but just like some of those things. So we'll definitely be sharing that information. And then for people who want to order supplements online, because I will tell you, Dr. Ellen does not play. I mean, she has it dialed in. So if people want to order supplements while they're still in stock and they don't live in the Indianapolis area, what is your website so that they can do that? Can they order online, or do they need to email or call your office?
Thanks for asking. So our website has limited supplies of things on there. We don't have everything listed on there. So what I would suggest you do is call the office. It's 317-989-8463. Okay, so 317-989-8463, or go to email inventory@vinehealthcare.com. And Sandy, ask Sandy if you have certain things that you'd want, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can and take care of those things. You can peruse the website. It's vinehealthcare.com. We do have a store, but again, we've got probably 200 different products in the office, so it's likely we have some of the things you want or need, but we don't have 200 things on the store online. So if you need something and you're looking for it, it's possible that we have it, and we have it in stock. So just reach out and let us know.
Well, you are amazing. Thank you. And everybody, Dr. Ellen is going to headline the Indianapolis Summit. We will just see if we can meet in person. If not, we'll do it virtually. Hopefully by September, we'll be okay, and we'll just keep everything on hold. But we are so grateful for you and your point of view, and just, I mean, I feel better even talking to you. So thank you. So I know everybody else is going to.
Do your deep breathing, 4-7-8 breathing, everybody. I mean, if we can do nothing else, we can breathe. Right?
A to the men.
So do that. And thank you for having me. I look forward to being in person and being able to give you a hug in person in September.
Yay. Thank you. Me too. So I really do want to order like everything you just said. Should I email Deborah, and how should I do?
That's good. Or I can have her or somebody call you. Is the number that's on your email the one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just have one of my staff pick up the phone and call you here in the next 5 minutes. And
that'd be perfect, because I would rather just get it from you. And like to the point, like where we were like, okay, I'm going to the store to get the almond milk, and then like I'm done. We have enough food. Like I really want to just like stay here, and then we'll walk around our neighborhood and but containment.
Yes. Biggest thing.
Cleaning the house.
Yes.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to get this edited, and the sound wasn't perfect, but it doesn't even matter because most of it came through. And so I'm going to release the video probably on Facebook, and then I'll release the sound on the Wonder Life podcast. So I'm going to start this process. So you're our first one, and then I'm going to make little graphics that are like, hey, everything you said to do, just like the vitamins, and I love the whole like take your clothes off, your shoes, like all that stuff is really, really good.
Thank you. Send me what you've got because I can do it on my stuff too.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, and then I'll also tag you.
Perfect.
Are you guys on Instagram too?
We are. Yep, at Ellen Antoine.
Okay, I'll get on there with you now. Yeah, because I'll blow this up this week. That'll be great. Hey, well, it's so funny because I guess when you started telling the story about your husband, I was like, oh, you did say that, because my mom was telling this woman, Sarah Blackburn. She's a professor at IU, and she's in nutrition. And then there's some other lady with Be Well Indy, Swathi something or other.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom ran into Sarah yesterday. She hasn't seen her in 5 years, and she was telling her about the summits, but she mentioned you. And she's like, it was just this whole thing. And I was like, I don't remember that her husband had a brain tumor, because she was like, didn't her husband have a brain tumor? And I was like, I don't remember that part.
Right.
So
yes. Yep.
Amazing. Ellen, thank you. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Bye, honey.
I'll talk to you.
Stay healthy.
Oh, you too. And the answer is amen.
Yes. Amen. All right. I'll have them reach out to you here in the next couple. You know what? Just give me your phone number so I don't have to go find it real quick.
Yeah. 970
Mm-hmm.
818
Mm-hmm.
1670.
All right, my dear. Somebody
Thanks,
will call
darling.
you here in the next few.
I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.